Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Your Football Show, and the Premier League is back. Yes, normal football has resumed. Me, as a Leeds fan, I'm wishing the World Cup was back. I can't lie to you. I'm hoping for a World Cup in a couple of weeks again, but it is what it is. We've got new faces, we've got old faces. Corey is out with his mates. Oscar might be joining us a little bit late. Matt and Locks just never turn up anyway. Kev obviously is a regular. Kev, how you doing, mate? You all right?
I'm good, despite what happened last night. Yeah, no, I'm good. Grand.
It was good. It was good as a neutral to see some like.
It was a good game. It was a good game, but look, we'll get into that in a bit. But yeah, no, I'm good. All boxed off and ready for the big day now. So daughter's coming home tomorrow. Drinks are bought. Fridge is full. We're all ready.
Good. I hope you have a great Christmas, mate. We've got Dave making his debut, Nottingham Forest fan. Dave, how are you doing? All right?
I'm good, mate. I'm a new face and actually quite an old face at the same time, simultaneously. So, yeah, I'm good. I had a lovely night out at Carol singing in Blackburn on Wednesday night. That was really sweet. Sort of looking forward to this sort of festivity that's coming up, but I'm really looking forward to Old Trafford next Tuesday night and then Chelsea at ours on New Year's Day. But yeah. And thanks for having me on, Joe. It's lovely to be here, mate.
Pleasure, mate. Pleasure. Who have you got in the next round?
Wolverhampton Wanderers at home.
Okay.
We wanted Leicester City somehow, but we got Wolverhampton Wanderers.
There you go.
How are you, Jack?
And that moves us on to Jack. Jack, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Yeah. Good to have the football back on Boxing Day. It's a very difficult game, but we're excited. It's been a long break, hasn't it, since the last Premier League game? The World Cup's been on. There were shocks in that, and Argentina went and won it in the end. So, yeah, it was a good World Cup. We can't complain. It was football at the end of the day. So it kept us all entertained and ready for club football now, Joe. The proper stuff's back.
Yes, it is, mate. It is. Your football mad as well. I see, Jack, man, you got the women's games, you got the youth games, you're just like, cut Jack and he will bleed Jamie Vardy blood, won't you, brother?
Yeah, you've got to, haven't you?
Agatha.
Man's a goat, you know what I'm saying?
I love that. I love having the debate in a group chat we've got between Jamie Vardy and Harry Kane, and Jamie Vardy. It just gets Matt going wild, as you'd imagine. But I think when it comes to it, he's probably he will have had a better career, won't he? But that's for another day. Day. All just on the World Cup. Obviously, we've got three Englishmen here and one Irishman. I'll go on the neutral first of all. What did you make to England, Kevin? Gareth Southgate keeping his job? Me and Dave chatted about it yesterday, but I just wanted to get your opinion on it. Neutral.
After about an hour after they went out, I thought he should stay. The thing is, the turnaround to the Euros is really quick. It's 18 months.
Yeah,
and look, England got as far as what they should have done. If you looked at it going into the tournament, you get as far as the quarterfinals on paper. That's about it. Anything else after that's a bonus. You were good enough to beat France. You should have beaten France. You were the better side in the night. More clinical, more ruthless manager would have made the brave changes earlier and went for it when the chances were there, but he didn't. He's still a conservative manager. But at the same time, he did his job. He got them as far as what they were expected to do, qualified well, and he'll get to the Euros and he'll do all right. It's just that he's unfortunate because some of the players that he has at his disposal, you look at him at club level and you think, there's more to come from that side. I just look at the way England's set up and I was good. I was happy he stuck with his 4-3-3. Going into the France game, I thought that if there was a game he was going to change it in, it would have been that one. He might have reverted to a back three, but he didn't. He stuck to his guns, and it nearly paid off for him. But best side in the tournament, probably won it in the end. But the final was a toss of a coin. You wouldn't argue either way if France had gone on to win it. That's what I said. When we were doing the post-match reviews after the England-France game, I thought the winner of the tournament was in that game. That's how unfortunate it was for England. I think if England had beaten France, they had a real chance. I don't know if they'd have gone on to beat Argentina or not, but they had a real chance of doing it. That would be the sickener for me. But at the same time, it's a decent, solid tournament. and you know within the youth bottom half of that squad, the youth age of that squad from 25 and under, there's so much more to come, and there's a bracket of 18 to 21-year-olds to come into it. You know, you got to look at the likes of, say, Harvey Elliott in 2-3 years' time. You know, when it comes around to 2026, Carvalho, both from Liverpool, I know, but those kind of players are
throwing the Liverpool players.
Both of those players are coming through, and it's not just.
Don't rule out Ryan Yates.
But you look at the current England under-21 setup with Jacob Ramsey and players like that.
Yeah,
the setup. You're starting to see the fruits of St. George's Park starting to pay its returns now.
Yeah.
So, you know, the future is bright for England, to be fair.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. Jack, do you think the right team won it? Then I agree with Kev. I think they grew into the tournament, Argentina. Do you know what I mean? After that shock loss against Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I think you upset the lion, didn't you, when Saudi Arabia beat Argentina? The lion came out of its pen and then it started ripping teams apart. Argentina, they're a good side, aren't they? Messi, you know, he turned it on, didn't he? You know, you'd expect that from him. He did it all on his own, and you know, that team paid off. Alvarez had a fantastic World Cup. You know, so I think England with Southgate, you know, is the most successful England manager. He's done well in his last 3 tournaments now, so he's got us really far. He's got us to a final, a quarter-final, a semi-final. So we've not done too bad under Southgate. We've got a very good squad there, England have. It's just certain players you would have thought would have came on earlier for France in the France game, but he didn't. He changed it too late, and it cost us, didn't it? Obviously, that Kane penalty, you know, on another day. He probably would have buried that probably in the Premier League for Tottenham, but so much pressure on that second penalty for Kane. It was a difficult situation. Obviously, Giroud having scored before and then having that penalty not long after, a lot riding on it. But I think any lower, Lloris would have saved it anyway. I think, like, he probably got a hand on it. But France, we were better than them on the day. But yeah, like Kev said, you know, whoever won that game should have probably gone on to win the final. But yeah, France and Argentina produced a fantastic final between them. I thought it was a great final, 2 cracking sides. Mbappe rat it, won he? You know, a hat-trick. The first hat-trick to ever be scored in a World Cup final. So it was a very good final. Argentina.
Jeff Hurst when England won it, don't forget.
Oh, yeah, well, there we go. Jeff Hurst, throw him in there as well.
first hat-trick and lose. The first hat-trick in a World Cup final to lose.
That's it. Yeah. That's true.
Keep his ego in check, sure. In fairness, he needs something to keep his ego in check, that fella.
But I would have played Maddison.
Yeah, well,
that's my opinion, man. I was fuming at that.
Because Locks was exactly the same as you'd imagine.
It was just a media purpose, wasn't it? Maddison going to the World Cup. It was just about Southgate look like a good guy in it. It was never going to be playing him and all that, but you just got to accept it. The World Cup's finished now, and England have got to move on to 2024 when they play in the Euros.
Yeah. And we've got to win the Euros, haven't we, Dave?
Yeah, we do, Joe, because I think personally that 2024 is the end point for Gareth.
Yeah.
I concur with what the boys say. I think that just the best team in the tournament just about picked the next best team in the tournament. I concur with Kev that I felt that the England-France quarter-final was probably the final apart was the highest quality football match in the tournament. I thought it was like it had a sort of a feel of Manchester City, Liverpool, or, you know, a top 6 game. But I thought the football was terrific, and England were terrific in that game. The only decision of Gareth's I would have quibbled with was taking Bukayo Saka off because he was the best player on the field at the time. He had Hernandez wrapped in a sleeping bag and chucked on the touchline. So you know, I think from a romantic point of view, and I'm, you know, Jack's been invoking poetry with lions being burned and all this. From a romantic point of view, the World Cup story came as we would have liked, because the little man was absolutely magic. Yeah. But what I liked about Argentina was they got this gem of a player, you know, now truly one of the greats. but the rest of them were so unselfish and hardworking. Julian Alvarez was terrific. Rodrigo de Paul, I thought, was wonderful throughout the whole tournament. Was it Young Fernandez who won the young player? He was very good. Emi Martinez was terrific. You know, the similarities between 2022 and 1986 for me were like, you know, kind of uncanny. Yeah. So I think the two best teams in the tournament got to the final. France woke up too late, but then having woken up, my goodness, they looked like they were going to win it. And it was, I mean, you know, in terms of a final, how rare a thing is it that the final is the best game of the tournament? You just never get it, right? We've had great tournaments that have had like really, I mean, 1990 was a great tournament, but it had a dreadful final. This, you know, you hype Messi, you hype Kylian Mbappe, you hype Argentina, you hype France, you hype a World Cup final, and you get all of those things delivered. So I think from that point of view, it's all. With regard to England, I mean, as Joe said, we were quite we weren't in agreement with all of our peers and contemporaries last night. But you know, I believe with Gareth Southgate, my start point with Gareth Southgate and my touchstone with Gareth Southgate is Roy Hodgson in 2016 against Iceland. That was the most appalling, the lowest, the nadir. So if you'd have said to me in 2016, England as an international team will go to a semi-final having overachieved, because I don't think that England team was that good. They'll go to a final and just not be quite good enough, and then go to a quarter-final and lose to, you know, the defending champions. I'd say, you know, Gareth Southgate is it. Alf Ramsey won it. Gareth Southgate is the best we've had since Alf Ramsey. Bobby Robson got close. Terry Venables got close. But don't give me Gareth Southgate being tucked out when you give me Roy Hodgson, Fabio Capello, who the England squad hated, right? Sven Goran Eriksson, Sam Allardyce, ridiculous. So I like Gareth because I think he's dignified. I think he's calm. I think he's measured. The gammon want a shouty, effing and blinding manager. He's not that. And I think
the question has to be really, who would you replace him with?
There is no.
If you decided to walk, who would the FA have had to go after?
Eddie Howe would be the obvious one, but he's not going to leave Newcastle. So any Newcastle fans saying, I desperately want to win the World Cup, okay, well, give us your manager then. Steve Cooper is, you know, my way of thinking, and I got asked this question last night, Steve Cooper is a candidate because he's been inside the FA, and Steve Cooper is the only manager in this country at the moment who's won a World Cup, admittedly the under-17s, right? So Steve Cooper, Graham Potter, but is his stock lowering now after what he's done at Chelsea? So, but with Gareth, I think he goes to 2024 and then he's gone after that, whatever happens. If he doesn't win it, then right, Gareth, time's time. And Gareth, well, actually, being the gentleman that he is, and Gareth is a gentleman, he would say, I would agree with that. So the last point I'm going to make is that for the first time in my lifetime, there's genuine potential about England winning a tournament. For so long in my lifetime, England have been hyped and have been basically the most overrated team in international football. But I think the core of, I mean, you only have to, you know, our next captain is there ready and waiting. What a player, Jude Bellingham. Now that's a guy you build a team around. So, and James Maddison as well. And, you know, Phil Foden, Bukayo, there's lots of good lads there. You know, so, you know, that's what it is.
Yeah, great chat, lads. Great. Yeah, man, just throw something out there. And I love that. Just people, it's class.
Oh, and actually, lads, we were only Ryan Yates and Morgan Gibbs-White away from winning the thing, I reckon.
We shall see.
Sorry.
No, it's
Forgive me.
Cool. Right, let's talk some what I do want to say though as well, like if it was ever in contention before, like Messi now for me is the greatest ever. Like I know there's a lot of chat about Maradona and you mentioned 86, but like Messi's the first player ever to score in every single round on the way to actually winning the thing. So for those that say,
Jairzinho.
Jairzinho
in 1970 did it, but obviously the tournament's bigger now.
Right, yeah. Okay. See, I did not know that, but even still, like, because I was listening to something before and they were saying, but the squad was much better than what Maradona had in 86, but Messi still did that, right? Scored in every single round. So I think it's just insane. So fair play. And
Messi is simply the best pure, and he didn't need the World Cup for it.
Huh.
He's the best because of longevity. It's longevity.
Yeah.
I mean, I can remember. Well, my first World Cup was '82, so I can remember Maradona proper, but you never really got to see him. The thing is that '86 side only had 5 players playing in Europe, so football back then. You were watching the World Cup, and it was the unknown. You know, we didn't have Sky Sports. You know, it was like the World Cup was like you'd see Brazil in '82, and think, wow, look at this. Then you'd see him again in '86 because you wouldn't see him in between. You know, and it was the same with Argentina. The thing is with Messi, you've seen his career develop from start to finish. You look at the numbers he's put up at every single club, every single year he's been playing at senior football. It's non-stop. The guy's relentless.
Yeah.
I've never, ever seen anything in my lifetime come close.
And he's got genuine likability, Kev. He's conducted himself really well, I think.
But that's a bonus. That's a bonus for me. I mean, Cristiano Ronaldo is a phenomenal footballer. His numbers are ridiculous. He's done it in every league he's been in. But he's 3-4 years past his best. And you look at Messi, and the thing is, Messi's 34, 35 now. This could happen to Messi at 37, 38. Yeah. But he just plays the game, and he's different. He's just different to everyone else.
I heard someone explain it is like Messi's God-given natural ability, right? Whereas Ronaldo had to work really hard, and he did work really hard. But naturally, as you get older, that does start to wane, whereas Messi can walk round the pitch and still do what he was doing. Obviously, maybe not run as much, not impact the game as much, but he can still do it. Whereas Ronaldo was built on power, was built on strength, and that eventually goes. You know what I mean? So,
well, you saw it at Juventus. I mean, he went to Juventus. Yeah, his numbers were fine at Juventus. Nobody else's were. You know, he didn't bring anyone with him. You saw it at Manchester United. He brought his numbers were fine the first season. That's what they were all talking about. He scored 20 odd goals. No other fucker did. Yeah, you know, he dragged no one with him. Yeah, and that tells its own story. You know,
true. Right, let's talk some Premier League football then. Obviously, the games are a bit dotted all over. Normally, it would be a full fixture list on Boxing Day, but with the World Cup and the Carabao Cup, like you say, I know Dave, you play Man United on Tuesday. We play City on Wednesday. We'll start. Let's go to you, Jack, because Leicester Newcastle, it's a bit of a taste.
Okay.
But yeah, a bit of a tasty affair. Obviously, Leicester seem to have turned the corner. I know there's been a lot of chat in the first half of the season about Rodgers. What's the general opinion at Leicester now, mate? Is Rodgers still wanted out?
I think with Brendan now, he's turned the corner. You know, first 7 games after that Tottenham game, it was like, do we actually really want Brendan Rodgers here? He's getting battered every week and he ain't the man to take us forward. We need a new approach. But then after the Tottenham game, and after that battering Forest at the KP 4-0, we turned a corner, innit? Do you know what I'm saying? We turned up. And then we went to Bournemouth the following week and we thought, we can go and back this up at Bournemouth. We ended up losing. And after that, we've kind of like gone strength to strength, innit? We've actually, Maddison's turned up, Tillemans and Barnes and all them players you need to actually go and win a game. They're doing it, and Faz is coming for £15 million, and he's been superb. Him and Amati at the back, and Danny Ward, he looks very consistent now.
Danny Ward has got the most points in the Premier League. I can't believe it.
Well, he's got the most points in fantasy football, Andy. A lot of people have so it's just like what you do. But you know, Danny Ward, he's been superb. He's kept clean sheets now. We're on form, and Newcastle themselves, respect to them, they're 3rd in the Premier League. They've had a fantastic season. Joe Linton, he's adapted to his new position that Eddie Howe's played him in. Almiron, he scored most goals this season he's ever scored in his Newcastle career. And, you know, that shows what type of manager Eddie Howe is, isn't it? You know, he gets the best out of his players. He's a very underrated manager, in my opinion, and can go and manage a top club. But Newcastle themselves, they brought in the new ownership. People would have said, oh, you're Royal Money FC, this, that, and the other, like Man City. But these owners, and they have a plan, a 10-year plan to say Newcastle's going to win the Prem. So, for me, Newcastle they've transpired, haven't they? All the teams playing for Eddie Howe, they've got good team spirit now. I think it'll be a difficult game for Leicester, Joe. I think you can't overlook Newcastle like you did 3-4 years ago under like Steve Bruce and that. And you've got to really take them serious this time because they'll be in for a fight at the KP. And I think it'll be a very tricky game for Leicester. But Maddison is the big talking point between the two sides.
I was just going to ask you, are you worried about them obviously taking him? Because January's coming around, you've got Tielemans, you've got Maddison. I've seen you being linked with Unahi, the guy who played for Morocco.
Oh, good player.
Very good
Unahi, he had a fantastic World Cup.
Yeah.
He's now come out and said that he'll talk about his future in January. So they're bottom of the league, aren't they, Angers, in the French League 1? And, you know, they want good money for him. And, you know, if Leicester's willing to pay it, then I think it'd be a good signing for Leicester, you know. We need to strengthen in January, of course, right wing, left back, then Justin. We've had injuries, isn't it? Justin, Ricardo, consistently, and it's not been the gone away. But the Maddison and Tielemans situation now, it's like we want to tie them both down to a new contract. And I think with Maddison now, it's if Leicester make Europe this season, he'll stay on. But if they don't, then he's going to think, well, Newcastle can offer me Champions League football and Leicester don't. But that's Premier League players' dream, innit, to play at the biggest level of European football. And, you know, I think that's somewhere Maddison will go to. I think Tielemans, for me, he'll sign a new contract if we give him the captain's armband. He looks incredible as captain. Johnny Evans now, for me, he's past it, innit? He's got all these injuries and he ain't to get back in that Leicester team. So I think if Tielemans does take the captain's armband now, and we say, you know what, we'll give the money and this, that, and the other, I think they'll stay because Arsenal are top. So it's media though, isn't it, Joe? Transfer window comes round in January, the summer, players get linked here, there and everywhere, but then they claim that everything's been agreed even though it hasn't. And then fans start jumping on the bandwagon, don't they? Oh, coming to our club, this, that, and the other. So
it's great for content creation, I can't
lie. People believe in it. But I think we'll beat Newcastle. I think it'll be a very close game. But I'm going to go 2-1 Leicester. I think we've got what it takes to beat them.
Lads, Jack mentioned a few points in there about Leicester potentially getting Europe. I think that's a bit wild.
I said if, not guaranteed.
And just on Newcastle, lads, obviously they've had the break. If any team didn't want it, it's probably them, right? Because they were flying. But do we expect them to come back and just continue to fly? Do we expect Almiron to continue to put in their performances?
Yeah, I think Eddie Howe is so meticulous and is so kind of has every Eddie Howe seems to have everything nicely at his fingertips. I mean, to me, Newcastle are the most improved team in the whole country. Arsenal have to be thrown into that as well. Let's not forget Arsenal 5 points clear at the top. They've been terrific.
Yeah.
But Newcastle, I saw Newcastle close at hand first game of the season, which was like a real welcome to the Premier League. Nottingham Forest. They won 2-0, but if they'd have won 10 or 11, it would not have been a travesty really. And I think because it's almost like the stars are coming to align with Newcastle United. The manager is correct. An ownership that is ambitious, whatever the moral background, whatever the arguments about where it's come from. Newcastle United have got a powerful financial armory that, let's be honest, they still haven't fully unfurled yet. So if Newcastle were to really play ball with the finances at their disposal, they could come to rival City and Liverpool and some of these. And I think Newcastle United, and I maybe prove wrong, I generally am, but I see Newcastle United as the coming force to kind of make it a big 7 rather than a big 6. I just love, I mean, the atmosphere at St James Park that day was just breathtaking. They're the most welcoming fans I've ever known. We were walking around in our red and they were all coming to say, how are you, Bonnie lad? Nottingham Forest back in the league. Fantastic, man, you know. It was, honestly, it was like, you lads might not remember, but it was like an episode of Whatever Happened to the Likely Lads, you know what I mean? Or our Vida St. Pet. But we were treated so well. But Newcastle United, I think, have played such fantastic football. If you're a neutral, you don't support anybody, and you want to pick a team in the Premier League to kind of almost guarantee you entertaining, thoughtful, intelligent football, go to Newcastle United. And I just think, I think they'll finish in the top 4. I'm really, I'm honestly, I think that I thought it from the first game. You know, I mean, if you like, the first signing they made with the new ownership was Trippier, and Trippier has become vital to them. What an excellent signing. You know, the movement, as Jack says, the movement of Joe Linton, Callum Wilson, if he can stay fit, is a brilliant striker, I think.
Even
Bruno
the kid,
Guimaraes.
when Isak gets fit, he will score goals for Newcastle.
Yeah. So I think Newcastle are extremely. I personally. But the thing you see, like Leicester are in such good form. I mean, I would say Newcastle win that, but if Newcastle are going to win it, Newcastle are going to be vexed by Leicester, because Leicester up to the break were going great guns. In fact, if you needed anything to play Leicester back into form, it was meeting Nottingham Forest, the team of strangers at the King Power that night. You know, but actually, in a way, in a way that helped us, because it was such a low point for us. Nothing could be as bad again. So in a way, Leicester did us a favour while giving us like the biggest spanking we've had for ages, you know.
Definitely. And it's quite interesting that you mentioned, obviously, the top 4 race. You could argue, Kev, that, I mean, Liverpool, are you confident about
we're in trouble.
Yeah.
We're in trouble if we don't do some business in January. The loss of Jota and Diaz now probably both till March or April.
Is it really?
Yeah, Jota they're talking about February, but you know yourself, you say February, by the time they actually get back to proper playing, you're talking March, maybe mid-March, and Diaz is March, so that's going to be April. The season's gone by then. They need to help the midfield out in a big way, but. Look at Newcastle; they've won their last 5 on the bounce. They've conceded the same amount of goals as Arsenal. They've conceded 11 goals. They're a horrible side to play against. They don't lose. I think we're the only side to beat them, and they don't concede many. That's a great springboard to put yourself in a shout for the top 4. I think they're the only side. The only way they don't get top 4 is if something happens at the back. If
Dan
they
Burn.
suffer, not even him. But I think it's more Pope. I think Pope and Trippier. They're just a solid, hard work inside. But this is their best chance of getting top 4.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you start throwing Europe into the mix, then that squad will get really tested. As at the minute they're playing domestic cups and league, and they can bin off the domestic cups if they like. They've spent 200 million in the last 2 windows. So this idea that the new owners have come in and they've got a 10-year plan, my arse. They want Champions League as fast as possible because they know that that's the revenue earner, and they know that as soon as they get the Champions League money in, their FFP headache goes away. They had a clean hit at the start because Mike Ashley spent nothing. That is gone because they've done 200 million in quick smart time. So when it comes to this January, they have to box clever. That's where a move for a James Maddison comes into play, because if you're going to be looking for someone who can improve what you have at I wouldn't say a knockdown price, but a price that reflects someone in their current contract situation. You know, he's a £50 million player with 6 months left in his contract. Then you're not getting 50 million for him. You'll probably get 15. And it's either you're going to take the 15 or he'll go for nothing at the end of the season. But you can take that 15 and put it to the French guy or the Moroccan guy. And that's how the business works. You know, Leicester are in no great financial shape at the minute either. So it's like, this is how a lot of sides, when it comes into January, there's an awful lot of players who've added value to themselves during this World Cup. And clubs are going to have to be quite clever about how they go about their business, because just because FFP doesn't apply to certain clubs, it applies to the rest of us. You know, if you can only spend what your revenue turns over, then that's what you've got. You don't have a sugar daddy owner, then you have to live within your means. And that means that you can only spend on a certain amount of players. You can only address a certain amount of issues at a time. And look, I can't see Newcastle losing at Leicester, but they're 2 informed sides, and it's definitely going to be a game that you'll want to watch, because they can attack. You've got Maximin on one side, you've got that offers threat. You've got Maddison with Vardy up front that can shoehorn passes into anywhere. They're too open attacking.
Harvey Barnes.
Yeah, he's gone under the radar, hasn't he? Because he was
Yeah.
he was linked with every club going for about 2 windows. He's
gone sort of like that, Kev, I think. Yeah. He had a quiet start. I like Harvey. I think Harvey's a really bright kid, right? I've seen him interviewed, and he comes across really well. I liked him when he was on loan at West Brom when we were in some other league that you lads have probably never heard of. And I really liked him then. And I think Harvey, it's almost like I go back to the Forest game because the epiphany for Leicester City was the Forest game. On that night, James Maddison was sublime. Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall is the most underrated player at Leicester City, in my view. I think he's an excellent player. Harvey played well. About face at the back might turn out to be one of the best signings of the whole season. I mean, as you say, Kev, and as Jack realises, that actually could be the game of the day on Boxing Day, Newcastle, Leicester. And what you've also got now, whether they kind of see it as a priority or not, it's a rehearsal for the quarter-final. So, you know, they're going to be seeing each other twice in the space of a fortnight, Newcastle and Leicester. And they're probably the two most informed teams in the league at the moment, Arsenal aside, you know. Yeah, so I think it's a great game in prospect.
I just see Newcastle have too many
narrowly.
Yeah, I've got it down as a 2-1, but I think there's going to be a high quality game. I can't believe that Belgian centre back that you were talking about, his name keeps
Fout face.
Well, how he didn't play for Belgium in that World Cup is...
It's a great point, Kev. Yeah.
It's crazy. But then you look at who the manager is. There you go. But when you got the manager who's the director of football for the association, it's like, who's Saxon, the Prime Minister or something? It's just a madness.
Who guards the Guardians?
Yeah, but yeah, look, I just look at Newcastle and I think they've just got a really good clean hit. Howe is doing a great job. I'd be surprised if they don't make Champions League. I really will.
Yeah, me too.
That's just a horrible side to watch or to play against. Like, entertaining side to watch though, and they got Isaac to come back as well. He'll score goals.
Yeah,
you know, and they'll need him because they have to take the weight off Callum Wilson's shoulders.
Yeah.
You know, he can't play as much football as he'd like to. So, and if they can't go big on a winter signing to improve things, a James Maddison into the squad wouldn't be a bad signing.
No, definitely.
Just on Callum Wilson and just nipping back to the World Cup. How nice to see him get run out for England at a World Cup. I mean, he's not going to get the chance again. And I think Callum's been, he's had such terrible injuries, none of which he got two really bad injuries. He got one at Stoke where all he did was go up to flick a header on. There was nobody near him, and he did his cruciate or whatever. So to see Callum playing a World Cup when he's been such a good professional with Coventry and then Bournemouth and now with Newcastle, I thought that was a really nice story. That.
Yeah, and he was so unselfish as well for the
absolutely, Joe. Yeah.
Yeah, because I thought if I'm a striker, you're banging it in, but he knew, didn't he? And just made it all. It was nice. I think another exciting game, though, just coming back to you, Kev, is Villa-Liverpool. Obviously, Villa, for me, now look like they'll start to climb up the table with an Emery. Didn't go well for Gerrard. I'm not writing Gerrard off yet. I still think there's a manager in there. And I think the next club he goes to, it'll work out. But when Emery's come in, they got a few results. I think they'll go again in January. Are you concerned going away to Villa Park, Kev? Because if you get off to a poor start, it's like top four's really in trouble.
Confidence is a huge thing going into this. I mean, I watched last night, and I was disappointed with the result, but I wasn't too disappointed in the way we played because of how well City played. Yeah. We were okay in patches. We were threatening on the break, and we had chances. We had enough chances to get a positive result last night. And the only worry for me going into it is looking at we've only really got 2 goal scorers on the pitch. You know, in Nunes and Salah. That's it.
Is Nunes a goal scorer?
Oh yeah. I'll tell you what. I had this with people in our chat last night during the post-match review, and people binning him off and writing obituaries. And I'm like, I'll worry about him when he hides. Yeah. But when he's timing runs as well as he's timing his runs, and he's getting in the positions he's getting into, no problem with it. He's rough around the edges, but there's definitely a finisher there. There's definitely a goal scorer there. And this is probably, I mean, he had one season really at Benfica. He came from the Spanish second division, so he went from the Spanish second division to Benfica to us. And he's still really only learning his game. So I know it was a big gamble that we took on him, but we didn't buy him for the first 5 months of a season. We bought him for 5-6 years of a contract.
Mm-hmm.
And Salah is in good nick. I mean, you look at Nunes, his goal scorer. He's played 18, scored 9, so that's 1 and 2. I'll take a 1 and 2 at the start of a career at any club.
Just get a Haaland in the Premier.
Haaland is wrecking it for everyone, he's a freak. He's an absolute freak.
He's like Thor. He's like Thor without the hammer.
You can enjoy him in the 28th, Joe. I'll tell you. But I look at Villa. Unai Emery has a really good record against us. He was at Seville when they beat us in the Europa League final. He had a decent enough record when he was at Arsenal against us, and I think he was unfortunate at Arsenal. He's a really good manager. He's a top tier manager. Villa did really well to go and get him. Gerrard bought. He bought badly. He bought on emotion. The fact that he bought Coutinho into the club is a ridiculous buy. It was one that was bought for the player that you thought he was, rather than looking at the evidence in front of your eyes. That would worry me if I was to employ Steven Gerrard again. Are you going to be picking players on what you think or what you're being shown? And he's got his next club. He's got to get the right owner and the right board that will give him patience. And if that means he steps down a division to do it, then so be it. But yeah, Villa are a good, tough nut. They've got some really good players. They've got pace up front. They've got fullbacks who can attack. I think they've got one of the best young players in the Premier League in Jacob Ramsey. Yeah. And Emery is just a really good tactician. Yeah. We've got to be on it. If we're not on it, we'll be beaten. It's as simple as that. And we're scoring enough goals. We're just not. We're conceding too many, and we're gifting up way too many good chances. It's not so much of the chances that we're not giving up a rake of chances like we're giving up 15 shots a game. That's not happening. We're giving up maybe 5 or 6 efforts on goal, but they're really good efforts. And we're dependent on Alisson Becker way too much, way too much. I mean, he's a phenomenal keeper, but he can only save you by so much. And our biggest problem is the centre of the park. It's just too many miles on the legs.
The game at the City Ground, Kev, bears out everything you just said. I mean, we were really I just thought we were going to get a good hiding. I thought, that Liverpool would come, having had a sighter of Forest in the FA Cup last year, when Forest actually, as a gang of kids, really gave Liverpool plenty to think of. Sinkenagel scores, and it's a different game. Yeah. And then obviously Jota makes it 1-0, and Liverpool's quality just saw them through. But in the league game at our place, I was sat in the Trent end, and I was like looking at people around me, and we were all looking at each other thinking, what's going on with Liverpool? It was like when Nottingham Forest's midfield is bullying Liverpool's midfield. If you're Liverpool Football Club with the stature that you've got, and we're Nottingham Forest Football Club with the stature that we've had to take on in the last 23 years, that is worrying. I mean, Leicester City annihilated our midfield. We thought that Liverpool would go even worse, but Liverpool, James Milner that day was your best outlet, and that tells you everything that day. And my favourite non-Forest player plays for Liverpool, and I absolutely love Andy Robertson. So Andy and Milner were the two outlets, and there was nothing. Mo Salah, when the Liverpool bus left the City Ground that night, they did a tour of Nottingham to try and find where he'd gone. Do you know what I mean? So
he has those games. It's just, I mean, I firmly believe for the first month, 6 weeks of the season, the hangover from the amount of football that was played last season, 64 games, and the fact that they didn't help the midfield out when they needed to in the summer. There's too much mileage on some of those players' legs. And you saw it again last night against City.
Do you get Jude, Kev? Do you get Jude in January, or is it a summer job?
No, that has to be a summer job. Whoever, and that's whoever get him. Even if it's us, if it's Madrid, whoever it is, whoever gets him, it has to be summer, because Dortmund are in 6th at the moment in the Bundesliga, as far as I know. and they need to get Champions League. They need to push on to get Champions League. I think Amrabat is one that could happen for us.
Yeah,
Amrabat.
If it's Jude,
Amrabat kind of makes sense.
Get Jordan Henderson to. If it's Jude Bellingham, get Jordan Henderson to do the negotiation.
Get Jordan and Trent to do the negotiations. It's going to be a case of here. What do you want? Double it and give it to him. I give him whatever. I give Jude Bellingham whatever he wants, and I just said, look, here's a bit of paper. Just sign it, and we'll build a team around you. There's your midfield boxed off for the next decade.
He's that good.
He's an unreal centre mid. He's got everything.
Yeah.
And he's 19. It's scary how good this kid is.
And leadership as well.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
That's what I love.
In that game against France, about 10 minutes left, maybe even less, 5 minutes. He had Kane, Mount, and I think maybe Rice round him, and he's going like this to him. And I was thinking, and then he's going to him, come on, you need to be here. I'm like, wow. And he's
just a copper's son from Birmingham. But what I tell you, again, listen to Jude talk. He's 19. I'm 58, and he talks better than I do.
Yeah,
and he's got the only issue for Jude as a human being and as an individual is if, say, Liverpool buy him, which to my way of thinking looks the most likely, and obviously then he's playing for England. He's going to have two teams built around him. Now that's a lot of responsibility for a young man in a modern footballing environment. So, but I do think he's got the psychological, social wherewithal to deal with it,
I think the brave decision for a kid at 17 or 16 to leave England, go to Germany. Take the gamble. When the easy option was go to Manchester United. They'd have given him whatever the hell he wanted. And he would have been playing, but he would have been playing maybe now. Instead, he took the risk. I mean, you've seen plenty of players do this, take the risk. Lookman has won. Reece Oxford has won. That have gone to Germany and tried, and it hasn't quite worked out for them. But I like that about this modern generation of English players aren't afraid to take the gamble and go abroad. Whereas the generation previous, it was rare. I mean, the first real English players to go abroad, you're talking Souness, for Scottish players, Souness. But Souness went with Liam Brady, went to Italy. David Platt went after the 1990 World Cup with Sampdoria. But it was still rare. Hoddle went to Marseille, a rarity. It just didn't happen. And this generation is looking at it and thinking, look, if I'm not going to, where's the best pathway for me to get to a club that's going to challenge for Champions League? And they're looking at their trajectory of their career. And Jude went and looked at it. Okay, I'll go to Dortmund. If I play at Dortmund till I'm 21, I can get a move back to England. I can maybe go to a top 6 club, help push them on, get into the England squad by 22-3. The fact that he's done this at 18, he's Dortmund's captain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's not out of place.
Yeah.
You've got Mats Hummels at Dortmund. You've got Marco Reus at Dortmund. Emre Can is there. That are all flying at Dortmund. Do it really top end players. Serious experience.
Yeah.
50, 60, 80, 100 caps at international level.
Yeah.
And here's this snot-nosed kid from Birmingham turning up, telling them, dragging him around the pitch and saying, look, I'm going to bring you along and you're coming for the ride with me. And
there's an irony.
All bought in.
There's an irony there. There's an irony there that as a nation we've come out of Europe, but all our young footballers want to go there. You know what I mean?
Don't. That's a conversation for a different type of podcast.
Yeah. Sorry, lads. Sorry, it was just something that came inside me Forrest thinking hat. You know.
Let's move it on. I want to speak before we touch on mine and Dave's games. I just want to talk Jack, just Arsenal West Ham, because I think it's going to be really interesting for both these sides. Obviously, Arsenal know Jesus now. Is Eddie Nketiah going to be enough for them? Yeah, no worries. Is Eddie Nketiah going to be enough for them, or will they have to go out and get...
It's my age, Joe. I'm sorry.
That's what I've got to look forward to in a couple of years.
Yeah. And then you've got... I'm going to have to mute him. We don't want to hear him second get it, have a piss.
Definitely not. Demonetized.
Yeah. And Jack, with West Ham as well, like David Moyes could be in trouble if he doesn't start getting results quick.
Yeah. will Arsenal come back to be the team that they was before the World Cup? They're the league leaders at the minute. They'll lead at Christmas. West Ham, they're not the team that they have been in the last 2 seasons, who's been competing for Europe and playing with confidence and beating teams they should be. They've been to Everton this season and lost. Lost to Leicester. Fans are wanting David Moyes out. You know, they're fed up of this football that they're playing again. He's gone back to before instead of the football that he knows got West Ham the success they needed. This game against Arsenal is going to be ever so tricky at the Emirates. There's going to be not many teams going to the Emirates this season and actually beating Arsenal. So I think Arsenal themselves, Saka, Martinelli, Xhaka, he looks a decent player now in midfield, Granit Xhaka, and Arsenal are playing with some right confidence and they've got some great quality young players, and I definitely think that this is going to be a run for Arsenal. I don't think it'd be a proper easy game, but I can see Arsenal coming away with like a 3-0 win or something in this game. So if West Ham concede 1, they're going to concede more, because that's West Ham this season. They've not got the confidence. They're not playing with that desire and passion that they dwell on in it. And then if they're one of them teams now who, if they concede 1, they concede more. So Mikel Antonio, you know, he was a massive player for West Ham when called upon. Now he's where is Mikel Antonio? Yeah. He don't really play. But Jared Bowen this season, a fantastic player in the last 2 seasons. He hasn't really cut it this season for me.
No. And I think a lot of that for me is a lot of it last season. They've sort of been running to the ground a bit. I think there was, you know, not much change there. And then
Declan Rice wants elsewhere as well, so I guess that's no note from as well.
Yeah. I think he goes in the summer, and I think he rocks up at Chelsea or, you know, club of
they'll be finished in midfield.
I don't.
It seems like the end of a cycle at West Ham to me.
Yeah,
you know, and I think they've been the overachievers these last 2 seasons, and they've like taken us all by surprise because, you know, Kev will know this. You know, Moyes, is he really that good? But actually, give David his credit. You know, I think they've been 6th or 7th or 6th and 6th. I can't remember, but I just felt there was going to come an end point to that. And I saw West Ham. They were our first home game of the season. And we rode our luck, but we were competing with them, and we kind of thought that, you know, you looked at their lineup. You see Declan, he missed a penalty that day. I mean, Jared Bowen I think Jared's a good player, and he's been playing okay. But Jared really should have been on that plane to Qatar, given how he played the last 2 seasons. So I think with West Ham, there's kind of come you could see it coming. You kind of thought, well, they finished there. They were they've got Europe the last 2 years, and I thought to myself, 3 seasons running getting into Europe, it's not going to happen. So I'm but I didn't expect the drop off that we've had with West Ham.
No. I think, look, I think he's in trouble from what I hear and stuff. I think Moyes is in trouble, which is mad, but they have spent a lot of money. I'm not sure he's the manager to like get the best out of a player like Paqueta and stuff, you know what I mean? Or even Scamacca. And even at times, there's a reluctance to play Scamacca. He just wants to play the same players.
Joe, Scamacca and Mikel Antonio are both big doubts for this game at Arsenal. So, you know, so they're going to have a problem. The only thing I would say that brings Arsenal and West Ham closer, if I were a betting man, I'm not, is Gabriel Jesus' injury. If he's going to be out, he might be out for as long as the 2 lads at Liverpool could be out.
Yes,
you know,
February.
So I think I watched Arsenal at the Emirates when they beat us 5-0. They were fantastic. They played great football. Martinelli is like, he's a cracking player. Bukayo obviously is a wonderful player. But Gabriel Jesus he almost knitted the side together from the centre forward position. So you kind of feel like that Xhaka gets better because Jesus is there. Even going back to like Saliba at the back and Thomas Partey. So I just feel that I think Arsenal will beat West Ham, but I think if Jesus was playing, I'd have Arsenal winning comfortably. Yeah. But I think without Jesus, Arsenal will win, but it will be a tougher game, I think, than it might otherwise have been.
Yeah. Kev, do you think Eddie Nketiah can be the man to lead the line for Arsenal, or do they need to go by in January?
Long term, no, definitely not. He can bridge a gap, but for me, I think what the player who makes Arsenal tick is Odegaard. Yeah. I've been so impressed with him. I didn't expect him to be. I thought he was going to be a bit soft To be in truth, I thought he was going to come in from La Liga. He's had a few loans, and I just thought he was going to be soft. And he's anything but. He looks like a proper player. I don't think they can go through the volume of games that are coming up to hold out for Gabriel Jesus to come back if they want to maintain a title challenge. I don't think they will. I think they'll fall away, but they've built up enough of a cushion to safeguard themselves and getting top four. I think they will fall away. I think the one thing you notice with Mikel Arteta in the first half of the season, well, before the World Cup, he doesn't change anything. It's the same, virtually the same 11 as often as possible, and that has a shelf life. He'll rest players in Europa League. Or whatever is it? I don't know if they're in the Europa League or the Conference. I just don't know. But he'll rest them and rotate them in Europe. But when it comes to the Premier League, it's the same 11, 12, 13 players that play all the time. And as long as he can get that core out on the pitch, they'll be fine. But that can't carry on. It was starting to show in the last month of probably suppose the end of October into November. They were having to work an awful lot harder for their results. Whereas
Leeds away.
Yeah, the first 10 games of the season, they were flying. They were ripping sides apart. They were aggressive. They were pressing really well, defending well, high line, taking risks and getting high reward for it. But the goals dried up for Gabriel Jesus, and the interplay was all it was saving his graces in the side, really. But without him there, it's a big gap. It is a big gap.
I agree.
And Eddie Nketiah is, I mean, he was at Leeds for a while, wasn't he?
He was.
And he was like, he's a finisher, but he's not a finisher in the way. I don't think he's the kind of player that Arsenal need to play the way they want to play.
No.
Yeah.
That type of Gabriel Jesus, Bobby Firmino, that type of number 9 to interlink and draw players into them.
There's a comparison. Sorry, there's a comparison for me with the Arsenal that played us in the third round of the FA Cup back in January and the Arsenal that I saw at the Emirates. Now, that game back in January in the FA Cup, Forest won 1-0, but actually Forest were valued for maybe a couple of 2 or 3-0. We outplayed Arsenal. And they were, we were at the time, we weren't even in the playoffs in the Championship, and we outplayed them. And if you like the comparison that night, and I mentioned it last night on the show with the boys to Joe, we had Lewis Graben up front. And he looked far more potent at 33 than Eddie Nketiah did.
But it's that physical. It's that type of physical Ivan Toney, that Mitrovic, that these centre backs, these new centre backs that are coming into the league, the Salibas, they're not used to playing against players like Grabham. Those, they'll rough you up and they'll give you nightmares. They won't run behind you, but they'll beat you up for 90 minutes. And they'll shithouse you. And they'll get a chance and they'll take it and then they'll defend for their lives. And that's the difference between a side that have come up as opposed to a side who take it for granted, turning up at places like, no offense, Nottingham Forest, expecting a win. And it's that arrogance that finds sides like Liverpool out. Something that we thought we'd eradicated from the game when Klopp took over, because we had it under Brendan for a good while. Where it was an arrogance that all we had to do was turn up, and it was anything but. You can't do that in this league anymore. There's too many good players. There's too many good individuals at every club that can create something out of nothing and make you look like an idiot. And we'll take great pleasure in doing it. So
right.
At this time of year, there's going to be shocks. There's going to be shocks. There always is Christmas, New Year. There's going to be the surprise results, the results that nobody expects. And it wouldn't surprise me for West Ham, because it's a London derby as well, that some of the West Ham boys could come back and think, you know what, point to prove, time to work that they never had. A lot of them who didn't go away. The break would have done them a world of good. So it'd be a case of, with a lot of sides, who could hit the ground running the best. If you can catch sides cold. Pick up, 3 wins on the bounce by the end of the first week of January, or the end of the second week of January, the Premier League table looks an awful lot different.
Definitely. Conscious of time, so Brentford Tottenham will be another interesting game, so watch out for that.
I'll have a bet on that.
30,
I wonder if Ivan will.
I wondered how long it would be.
But let's
bet on that as well.
Let's talk about Tuesday and Wednesday's game. We'll start with Tuesday's game. Dave, Man United versus Nottingham Forest. Man United,
Yeah.
now, unfortunately for me as well, because I despise them, they're going to go from strength to strength under Mr. Ten Hag, and I think Marcus Rashford looks like a player reborn as well.
Yeah. I can't see us winning. I said last night, Joe, I think I might have said when we were on the boys last night, Nottingham Forest have got 2 chances at Old Trafford, nothing and none. We will not win there. And I think there's a psychological edge that Manchester United as a club and as a community will have over us on Tuesday night. And that is the lead weight and the pull of Cristiano Ronaldo is gone. So the lads on the field will think, oh, great, I can do my stuff now and I don't have to kowtow to him. And if he makes a mistake, I don't have to kind of like avoid giving him a bollocking, right? I've not forgotten how appalling a teammate he was at Brentford when they lost 4-0, where, it's almost like Jadon Sancho makes a mistake, Marcus Rashford makes a mistake, they get it in the neck, he makes a mistake, oh no, I'm Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't believe in that. That's not a democracy. So without Cristiano Ronaldo, Manchester United are like, Bruno Fernandes was on the phone to me. He says, oh, he's gone, Dave. I can't believe it. I can relax and enjoy my football. So Bruno's happy. And I think Manchester United on the field will be happy. Christian Eriksen will be happy. So I think on the field, United are going to be in a good frame of mind. The Glazers are selling up. So the atmosphere around that stadium on Tuesday night is going to be, it's always kind of measured, I always think. I don't know if you lads have been to Old Trafford. It's a lot of chin stroking goes on. I'll guarantee you one thing. The Nottingham Forest fans will win the singing duel by a mile on Tuesday night. When them trickies turn up, we had a good little
singing about us.
Yeah, we had a nice little choir practice at Blackburn the other night. We had a lovely choir of 6,500, which was not bad on a winter's night leading up to Christmas. And we'll go and sing our hearts out at Old Trafford, but we're not winning. And I think United will win comfortably. I know Burnley gave them a little bit of a test, but my view, I'm looking long term. I'm kind of looking at a body of work that's to come in the next sort of few weeks. I think we get beat at Old Trafford, but Chelsea coming on New Year's Day, as I said to Joe last night, I fancy us there. And then we're into a cup final against Southampton on the Wednesday, Blackpool in the cup, Wolves in the quarter final, and then Leicester pop along, bless them. Don't know if that guy's going to run out the away end again and have a word. Keenan Davis is gone now, so that's all bad. So, but I think for us Tuesday night, if we can come away respectable, my expectation is I'd like us to go there, not be overawed, and to be a nuisance, if nothing else, to Manchester United. In terms of quality and talent, Manchester United stroll it. And I also think that I really like Erik Ten Hag. I think, he's gone where, no Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and no Ralf Rangnick has gone before. So I think that Erik Ten Hag has he's grabbed Manchester United's testicles and has got them in an iron a vice-like grip. And I think United will beat us. But for us, I mean, this time last year, lads, it was Huddersfield at home in the league. We were losing. And so while I think like Arsenal and Newcastle United are the 2 most improved clubs certainly in the Premier League, no club on earth, and I'm going to stick my neck out here, no club on earth, I might have to put my hat down over my face in a minute, no club on earth in a top league anywhere in the world has gone as far as Nottingham Forest have in 12 months, right? We were getting beat by Huddersfield this time last year. Tuesday night, we go to the supposed theatre of dreams, and we're hoping to make it a theatre of nightmares. And I tell you what, I sit here, lads, and I look at 2022 as a Nottingham Forest supporter, and I kind of compare it with the 23 years of mediocrity and dreadful organisation and appalling management and shocking decisions. And I think, wow, 2022, what a fantastic year to be a Forest fan. And you know what? Right this minute, if we, a year ago, you lads would never have seen me on a show like this. So it's astonishing. So I think what I'm doing, I'm laying a perspective and a context to what happens on Tuesday night. Now, Our lads are going. I mean, the subplot on Tuesday night is Jesse, of course. Now, and Jesse is beginning to start to tick along a little bit. And actually, what's really nice for me is that joke that was on Fantasy Football League, and that all of you would have said, "Oh, here comes the Forest team bus." 10 coaches bringing all the new signings in. That has gone now. That has gone, right. In fact, it disappeared after the Leicester City did us a favour by annihilating us so badly that a line in the sand was drawn. And from the Leicester game, we've only really had Arsenal pull our pants down, and they were brilliant. We got a brilliant 0-0 after being completely outplayed at Brighton. We somehow beat mighty Liverpool, who were, European Champions League runners-up. We're little Nottingham Forest, right? Then we draw with Brentford, should have won. We beat Tottenham beautifully in the League Cup, and then we get a really good hard win against Palace before. So if you take the Arsenal game out, all of a sudden Forest have become hard to beat. And what I love about him, I love Steve because I think he's a brilliant builder of spirit and a brilliant builder of squads. Liverpool know this for the work he did in their academy. England know it for what he did with the under-17. Steve's come in, and Steve's a brilliant communicator. And Steve's learned because he's never been in this league before. That night at Leicester, our lads came to where we were, and they were sheepish. And Steve came, and he was a bit sheepish. But the noise from our end to Steve Cooper basically forced Marianakis to say, we can't get rid of this guy. And where I feel Forest are now, I see great body language. I see a bunch of really likable young men who all get on well. They all like each other. They're forming little groups and gangs. They have the crack. Jesse's obviously leading the way. He's mates with Dean Henderson and Morgan and Brennan and all these. They're all joining in. Gustavo Scarpa's just come in from Brazil, skater boy. He's going to join in. So I think that what Steve had to do, it's beginning to happen. And I don't think we've seen the best of Forest yet. I don't think we'll see the best of Forest at Old Trafford. To me, that's a step too far. But I think in those crucial games down the stretch where we've had a poor start and others have started well, maybe your Fulhams, your Bournemouths, and your Brentfords, because if Tony gets suspended, which he may, then Brentford could drop in. We might start to kind of go a little bit upwards, as like Leicester have done and like Villa have done, while some of these others start to fall. I still don't think Leeds will go down because I think Leeds can generate an energy through the fans and through Ellen Road in particular that will keep them up. But with us, I'm just kind of 17th is all I want.
Yeah, exactly.
So my niece said to me, Uncle Dav, what do you want for Christmas? I said, I win at Old Trafford, but I'm not going to get that. So give me 17th by the skin of my fingertips. Last day of the season at Crystal Palace. So I like a lot about us. I mean, we've had to learn hard lessons, like the lessons against City away, which was a freakish night. When Haaland got the man of the match award, all the Forest fans applauded it. It was bizarre, And if you ever go to Manchester City, they're an amazing set of supporters because they don't watch their own team. They've got this incredible team on the field, but they spend all night looking at the away supporters, which is very bizarre. So we've had Arsenal, Leicester, and City have given us real hard lessons. But what I like about Forest, because we are the new kids in the school, we're the year sixes, if you like. It looks like some of the lessons are being taken on board, and I'm not overly confident ever. I'm generally pessimistic because then that way I'm always pleasantly surprised if we win, like we were against Liverpool. But I feel that there is a little bit of something about Nottingham Forest. What I would say is, like most of the teams at our end of the table, we need a striker. We need a centre forward. Joe will laugh because I'm boring people. A Glenn Murray type, when Glenn was at Palace or Brighton, somebody like that. So we need a striker. What I will guarantee you, we're not signing 25 in the next month.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being a Nottingham Forest fan creator in the summer with a 30-day window to be like, well, lads, we got another one.
Yo,
do you know what, Kev?
I'd have retired. I'd have had a yacht.
Do you know what, Mister? We have a great guy. We've got lots of really great content creators with Nottingham Forest. I'm not one of them. It's a young man's game, you know what I mean? But we have people like Mr. Dorr. Mr. Dorr on tour, and he was like, he does a little show on YouTube every time there's a signing. I tell you what, there was one week where I did 7 nights a week. Honestly, it was bizarre, mate. But it's credit to Steve.
It needed to be done.
Yeah, it did. The thing, Kev, that's
what
exactly
a lot of people
the point,
don't
mate.
know. That's what a lot of people don't know.
Kev, thank you so much for saying that. You're more intelligent than all the TalkSport put together, right? Because TalkSport,
I don't get paid for this shit.
No.
They do.
But
I'm doing something wrong here.
TalkSport felt it was like Forest showing vanity. We can't help having an owner who's got money to put in and who's got ambition, right? He's had it with Olympiacos, now he wants it with Nottingham Forest. And of the team that came up, the team that won at Wembley against Huddersfield in a very poor match clearly was not good enough to compete at this level. 5 of them went back, right? And then a lot of them, really, of the team that came up, there was like Worrell, McKenna, Yatesy, but they were unproven at this level. So it needed root and branch upheaval, you know what I mean? So I think where we are now, it's beginning to come together. It's just now a matter of whether you can get it together enough to keep us up. What I will tell you, based on what I saw at Blackburn, is if we go down and we keep the core of this team, there's a good chance we'll motor through the Championship and come back. You know what I mean? So for me, the context is the year that we've had as a club, really.
Well, listen, you said it right back at the start. Leeds fans can totally sympathise with you. We had like 15 years out, you know how it is, and it's just got to be back. And you're going up against the big boys. And
you know what, Joe? For me, a touchstone, if you like, is Leeds winning at Brentford on the last game, on the last day of last season. And if we can do the same, I've said Leeds did it, Villa somehow did it at West Ham. Brighton have become established. Why can't they be a role model? Brentford have done it. So if we can emulate those clubs, and I think we've got the fan base 100%. And the resources to do it, who knows?
Yeah, no, 100%. Forest are a huge club. And like I say, I'm glad you're back. Because I always wanted you back because, like I say, you're a huge club and deserve to be there. Hopefully you can get a result against Manchester United. But again, I don't think you will because I think...
No, I don't think we will.
No, Rashford's in me fantasy team as well, so hopefully he gets.
You're hexing him every which way you can, aren't you? I do the same with Haaland, and it ain't worked, unfortunately.
All right, well, I got. Well, that moves us nicely onto City. Leeds versus Ellen Road. I've got Kevin De Bruyne and Haaland in my fantasy team, captain and vice captain. So that tells you what I think about our chances. Jack, I'll come to you first. Do you give Leeds any hope against City? Okay, yeah.
Let's be honest, Haaland is an incredible player. He's an absolute tank, and he's a force to be reckoned with. This time, he's actually back from injury after a long time wherever he's been with his foot injury or whatever he's had wrong with him. Now he's back, and now he's going to be coming for teams. And he's not had the World Cup to do anything, play or whatever. He's had his nice time to himself and all that to prepare himself for the Premier League again. He's going to be a force. And Alf Haaland, who used to play for Leeds, respectively, that's his dad, in it. So it's what's going to be a father and son sort of conversation with this game, because Haaland is unstoppable. When he starts playing, he's unstoppable. And I think he's really going to stick it on Leeds. De Bruyne, fantastic player. He can score long-range goals. It's something that Leeds have got to watch on Wednesday. And it's going to be a very difficult game for Leeds. I think, Man City, we luckily only conceded 1 goal against them, and that were a Kevin De Bruyne free kick. But if you can go toe-to-toe with Man City, then good luck to you, because you won't come out the best of ways, Joe. But now Leeds are a fighting team. They've got everything there, the team spirit and that. Jesse Marsh, after the Leicester game, Leeds wanted him out. They wanted him sacked. And then the fans, now they've got a couple of wins under the belt and that. Fortunes have changed, I think they'll give Jesse Marsh January and that to bring in these new players and that. And if it don't work for him, then they'll sack him, innit? But right now, Jesse Marsh, if he can get a result against City, a surprising result, then he'll probably be given the key to Leeds City, innit? So
not from me, he won't.
Brendan Rodgers.
No, you're right. I mean, listen, we didn't win a game in 8, and then we went to Anfield and won at Anfield. I hadn't lost there.
Brilliantly.
better than Liverpool.
Yeah. These can, they are better than Liverpool. Yeah, 100%. I think as well, like I was talking earlier about that. Always there being a 3-man at the back post, not even from set pieces, just in open play. I can imagine Kevin De Bruyne just playing an assist from the halfway straight across.
Shoot from distance.
I watched him last night, and it's not Haaland. Yeah. Haaland will get chances. He's just going to get chances. Kevin De Bruyne is a ridiculous footballer.
Yeah,
he's sick. It sickens my hole that he's a Liverpool fan playing in blue. He's Virgil van Dijk's best mate. He is the best player I've seen. He's the best midfielder I've seen in the Premier League since Gerrard. He can do it all. Last night, he was ridiculous. Some of the crosses he put one cross in halfway inside their own half on the sideline and just whipped it across from it. And all Nathan Hackett had to do was just let it bounce off his head. And he couldn't even do that right. All he had to do was put it on his head, and it would have been the cross of the season. He's an unbelievable footballer. And it's not just that, it's the rest of them. Phil Foden. Phil Foden's a joke. You know,
beautiful player.
It's throughout the side and the 5 changes he can make off the bench to affect games. They're going to kick on. And it's only a matter of time before he wins the Champions League.
Yeah.
And they've got a real shot at it this season, because that last night from City was as good as I've seen for a while, and that was the best I've seen De Bruyne play in a long time. And it was,
and they've got kids coming through, Kev.
Yeah,
they've got kids coming through. Rico Lewis,
was really good.
Young Cole Palmer. I mean, that night we went to City, we were like, it's the weirdest night for all the Forest fans. We piled it. At least we didn't all bugger off early like United did the week before. But City are just...
I just say all of that, right? Do Leeds have a chance against them? Of course they do. Yeah. They absolutely do, because Leeds are capable of frustrating you and forcing you into mistakes. And they're capable of getting a result. But
the last time Leeds were in this position was when they went to Anfield.
Yeah.
You know, when they went to Anfield, nobody gave Leeds a prayer. I actually remember watching that night, wanting Liverpool to win to drag Leeds nearer to us. And after 10 minutes, I wanted Leeds to beat Liverpool because I thought Liverpool were complacent. And so the only hope for Leeds, I would say, Joe, is that it's so against logic that Leeds can win that life is weird that it might happen. What Leeds have to utilise, and I'm sure they'll get help, is the crowd at Ellen Road have to be hostile as hell. You know, I mean, that's one ground I've never been to, and I'm desperate to go because I really want to experience that proper old ground with a fantastic crowd in there. And they have to do their bit to kind of ruffle City, but it's going to be really difficult, you know. And for all the reasons that Kev has said.
I say I don't know how Leeds would line up and how they've got come back from injuries and what have you. But to play against City, the sides who are successful against City are the sides who are brave to play through their press and get a counter with players with pace. If you can counter them with pace, you can get at Laporte. You can turn Laporte around. You turn Diaz around. If you can make them turn around, they're not that good. They can be got at, but you have to be brave. And a lot of sides, when it comes to Man City, they're either beaten in the tunnel or they're too afraid. They kick the ball away and try to play long balls over the top, and it doesn't work. If you play through, if you're brave enough to play through, we had it last night in the first 15 minutes. There was 8 City players in our final third pressing us to try to get the ball back. If you can play through that, you're in 2v2, you know, and all it takes is 2 right passes and you're in. And the successful sides against City, like the sides like Palace, when Palace to give them a right nightmare, you can get at them with pace. And if you're brave enough to do that, any side has a chance against City, but you have to be brave. And there's not many sides are brave enough to do it. You know, it does take bottle.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think the worrying thing for me is like Haaland. Obviously, he was born in Leeds. He loves Leeds. You know, Jesse Marsh said he received a text from him when the fixtures were announced, saying, "Look, this is the one I'm most looking forward to." His dad will be in attendance as he is with every game, and I just think he will want to score at Ellen Road. And I could envisage a situation where he's like, I want to get as many as I can at this football ground. Like,
that's a scary thing.
I'm a little bit worried. But we'll see. I think
they're the best side in the country at the minute.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, look, the table is what it is. Arsenal have done really, really well, but City are playing the best football I've seen for a while. And they've got they won the league last year without a striker, and then they went and bought one of the best nines out there.
The best nine.
He is with a De Bruyne with him. With the players around him, they will feed him. I think there's a reason why Pep wanted Kane. Pep wanted Kane because he just needed someone that they could feed, and that's what they've got in Haaland. I would have Mbappe over Haaland every day of the week, but Haaland is a player. He won't make chances for himself. He's not interested in playing football outside of the box. But you put the ball in the box and he comes alive. He couldn't care less about anything that happens outside of the box. He's not interested in it. I
think there's a way in which you lose, isn't there? There's a way in which
absolutely.
That's the main thing. I'm not confident, but we'll see.
Joe, what are Leeds fixtures after City, Joe? Because I think, like us, Joe, you have to kind of look at the broader picture, mate.
Yeah, we've got Newcastle, West Ham, exactly, right. And then after that we've got Villa away, and then we've got Brentford at home. So I think it's conceivable we might have a new manager in 5 games. But we'll see.
Anyone in mind? Seriously?
No, mate. This will sound wild, right? And people will bite my head off and all this sort of stuff. But we were interested in Gerrard before he's moved to Villa. And I think there is a good manager in there.
Yeah.
Great guy. I think it could work. I know people will go, they'll look at the most recent thing and say, I'm off my tits, is rubbish. I don't know. And listen,
Lopetegui's gone to Wolves, for God's sake, so nothing is off the table.
Yeah,
I mean, this is a guy who was managing Spain and took the job at Real Madrid. So, and he's gone to Wolves, who are absolute dog poo. So, in all fairness, there are good managers not working. There are good managers coming out of this World Cup. Luis Enrique being one that are going to be looking for jobs in the Premier League.
Getting Enrique, but I'd take him.
Has Deschamps left the French job?
No, he's trying to negotiate another 4-year deal. He wants to stay on for another 4 years. But
I think the point with Gerrard, the point with Gerrard is, and Joe's dead right, there is a really good manager in there. I mean, Rangers, I don't think Rangers is relevant because that's basically a League One side. But I think with Steven Gerrard, I think as a person, he's got the intelligence, and I think he's got. I actually really want Gerrard to be successful. He's a player I absolutely love, and a bloke I really admire. And I think he's not. I'd like to think in a few years' time he won't be defined by what happened at Villa. You know, Moyes could have been defined by what happened at Manchester United. He's then gone on to West Ham and gone, blimey, that's pretty good actually. You know, I think what we tend to do in this country, maybe it's the media, maybe it's football fans' perceptions, is like it was bad there on a Thursday, but it might be all right on a Friday. Why is it's almost like people are defined more by what they get wrong and what goes bad.
That's modern society across the board.
Yeah, let's look at Jack, right? I was on a Leicester podcast, Leicester Till I Die, early in the season. In fact, after Leicester had beaten Forest 4-0. And they were like, Brendan's got to go, Danny Ward's useless, this, that, and the other. And I'm now laughing because I go on his show now and I go, tell you what, that Danny Ward, bloody good goalkeeper is. And Brendan, Brendan's the Messiah, mate. You know what I mean? And the guy who's on it is a great guy. He goes,
I know a few guys who disagree with you.
I know what I said. You know what I mean? So it turns around. Steve Cooper might be the worst thing since sliced bread in like 4 weeks. You know, but
No, you're right. We'll see. Listen, I'm as fickle as they come. If we beat City and Diego Llorente, who I can't believe has been given a new deal, gets the winning goal, I'll be like,
I watched the watch along with you. I can't remember which one it was. It was the one where Rodrigo put that ball straight across from the halfway line back to his left back.
Oh, yeah.
It was Arsenal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, my. I've never seen someone like that in a game.
Not
and it
Joe,
was like
surely.
that. You were flying it and like that. It was just war. I swear, it was the funniest thing I've seen in a long time. But,
Joe, did you swear?
Yeah, I do tend to.
it's definitely an education. Watching a watch along with someone who's so into what he's watching. Highly recommend it to anyone because it's not, as I found out during the World Cup, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. So full of admiration for anyone who does it.
Me as well, bro. It's so difficult. It is.
Joe.
Yeah.
What does I mean, this basically has been, 4 of us talking, but actually there've been 5, individuals on here. What does your dog think?
Yeah, he's asleep now. He's asleep, mate. Do you know what? I'm actually getting a new dog on Boxing Day. Another friendshie, so he'll have a little Bezza to knock about with. So he's.
What's he called? Revy? Lorimer?
No, he's called Billy. Billy Brenner.
Oh, after Billy Brenner, yeah, of course.
The other one's already got a name, Marco, because he's 6 months. I was like, I can't change it. You can't change it. Because I was thinking, should I call him Brenner? And then he's got Billy and Brenner. I'll be going on. And he'll be like,
Norman Hunter, so he could bite people's legs, mate.
If you bought the Jack Russell, then that's what I was.
Do you know what the funniest thing is, though? The people who watch me regularly will tell you, when at half time, sometimes I have to pop to the toilet. And when I do, he jumps straight in my chair and just looks at me. So, it's class.
Thank God I haven't got a dog.
Yeah, I think we'll leave it there. But honestly, guys, I've really, really enjoyed it. It's been a great show. We've got Kev, Jack, and of course Dave. Hopefully they will be back as well. I think the people who are watching are grateful of the new faces, and there's been a lot of positive comments about everyone tonight. So that's great to see. So we'll definitely have you back. Everyone, smash a like on the way out. I'll be doing a City preview over the next coming days, and then obviously some more games on Boxing Day potentially. I'm going to be on the LFC Day Trippers with Kev at 10 o'clock. Yeah. So if you want some more content, I'll be over on the Trippers at 10, and I'll see you over there.
Bring cans. Tell anyone who's coming over from the chat, bring cans. That's the only rule. Bring cans.
Thanks very much for coming on, lads, and we will leave it there. Cheers.